Hi everybody, I made a custom strategy board game. It's set during King Philip's War, and I call it Flintlock and Tomahawk. If you've seen my documentaries about King Philip's War, then you'll know all about it, but if you haven't, it was a historical conflict. It was fought in 1675 and 1676 between a coalition of Native American nations and the colonies of New England, the Puritan colonies. In this game, you take command of one of those colonies, or a Native American tribe, and duke it out. Through force of arms, establish yourself as the dominant power in New England. The object of the game is to conquer as much territory as you possibly can. It's a turn-based game, has a maximum playtime of 12 turns, and it is incredibly cutthroat. Friendships will be tested, people will throw things at each other. There's a lot to this game. It has a very high replay value. You can play it several times and never play the same game twice. All the little incidents, events, and mechanics are all inspired by things that actually happened in King Philip's War. Different tactics, aspects of battles. I just plucked it right out of history and threw it in the game. So it was about as historically authentic as I could possibly make it. But more importantly, it is a lot of fun. My friends and family and I, we've had some very spirited, very energetic games. We play tested it several times, we ironed out the kinks, and this second edition runs about as smoothly as a strategy game possibly can, which I'm very, very happy about, especially as a first-time board game maker. I mocked the board and all the cards up in Photoshop myself, and I used a website called The Game Crafter to have it printed. Now, The Game Crafter is a fantastic website. It didn't sponsor this video or anything, but they not only allow you to make custom games, but you can also sell it in their store. And that's what I've done with Flintlock and Tomahawk. You can go to Game Crafter, to the Flintlock and Tomahawk page, and all the relevant links, of course, are going to be down below, and you can buy your own copy, and you can play it with your friends. It costs $93.99, which, whoa, baby, that's expensive, that's pricey, oh my god, Andy, I was interested, and then you just threw that number out there, and that's just too much, I can't justify that expense. Fair enough, fair enough. But in my defense, this is a very expensive game to make. It costs $73 just to make the board and, order all the pieces and stuff, and then Game Crafter takes a pretty healthy cut. So to make even just a little bit of a profit, it's gotta be that expensive. So apologize for that. The purpose of this video, though, is to explain the rules and the mechanics so that when you have your own game with your friends, you can just send them the link to this video, everything time-stamped conveniently, and they can learn how to play. To win this game, control more settlements than any other faction by the end of the 12th turn. The way that victory points are determined is that you have 1 for a regular settlement and 2 for your capitals. There are 6 playable factions. You have Massachusetts Bay, the Nipmuc, Plymouth, the Wampanoag, the Narragansett, and Connecticut. Each have unique heroes who have bonuses in certain situations. There are certain types of battles that they're more adept in fighting in than others. Each faction also has a special ability that is unique to them that can only be played twice throughout gameplay. Seizing and controlling settlements is the bread and butter of the game, but different settlements have different uses and meanings, so we're going to break that down real quick. If you look at the map, you can see that Native American settlements are outlined usually in kind of a greenish, sort of colder color. English settlements are outlined in warmer colors. Capitals are the central hub of your nation. If your capital is captured by your enemies, then you lose the ability to use your special ability until that capital is recaptured. Forts, outlined in red, are fortified English settlements. When an occupied fort is attacked, then the defender gains +2 combat points. Strongholds, outlined in dark green and with a tomahawk icon, are Native American recruitment centers. And praying Indian towns, which are denoted by the crucifix icon, are places where praying Indians are present, Christianized Native Americans. These could pose advantages for Native American players who capture them, and potentially dangers for English players. There are 2 ways to control a settlement. First is occupation, which means that your pieces are physically occupying it. You can also administer a settlement, which means that you don't have troops on them, but you still control them and you can collect taxes from them. Those, as you can see on the map, are the ones with these little tokens called administration tokens. If you need to vacate your troops from a settlement, then you can purchase an administration token for 1 gold piece. Look at these doubloons. Aren't they awesome? You just want to throw these at a stable boy, you know. Here, boy, make sure he is well groomed. And here, take another one, if thou wilt meet me at my chambers at midnight, so I might penetrate your downy buttocks. Here are the playable factions in Flintlock and Tomahawk. First, the Wampanoag in orange. Wampanoag are led by Metacomet, King Philip himself. Now, Metacomet has a +2 combat bonus in any battle. He is just about, under most circumstances at least, the most powerful unit in the game. The Wampanoag's special ability is a lightning raid, which means that you can move an army 3 spaces in one move. So 1, 2, 3. You can do that. Massachusetts Bay in black has both settlements right here around Boston and in the upper Connecticut River Valley. Their hero is Captain Samuel Mosley. Captain Mosley historically was a little bit of a racist, so he gets a +1 combat bonus when fighting Native Americans. Massachusetts Bay's special ability is called Deep Pockets. Whenever their gold reserves falls below 3, so if they've got 2 doubloons or just 1, they can use their special ability to immediately collect 8 gold pieces. Pretty useful. The Nipmuc dominate central Massachusetts, kind of around Worcester, right here. So their hero is Muddawump. He is a very powerful unit. He gets +3 when he's fighting in English territory. Their special ability is Ambush. They can recruit units mid-battle. If somebody's going to attack them, they could then choose to buy 2 units of any strength to ambush their enemies and hopefully overwhelm them. It's a pretty good one. Plymouth is red over here, centered around, you guessed it, Plymouth. Their hero is Captain Benjamin Church, who has +2 when attacking. And their special ability is they deploy missionaries. They can convert a Native American unit that is adjacent to regions where their armies are. So, you know, if Captain Church here wanted to convert this unit, he could do it. He could just say, I'm going to use my special ability on you here in Agawam. And he could just take that and steal it, essentially. Now he turns red, and he would join Benjamin Church in Plymouth. Really annoying for Native American players. Next, we have Connecticut in blue. Their hero is Governor, I should say, Robert Treat. He gets +1 when commanding an army, or supporting, I should say, an army that has a combined strength of 3 or more. So, if he's commanding a large-ish army, he gets +1 automatically. Connecticut's special ability is river travel. You see this Connecticut River snaking right through here, through the western part of the map? Connecticut, if they wanted, could gather an army here in Saybrook and move it all the way up to Deerfield. Let's say that Connecticut and Massachusetts Bay were allied, or even if they're fighting, that's useful. Connecticut wanted to hem the Nipmuc up in the rear. That would be a pretty good way to do it. Last but not least, we've got the Narragansett in purple. Their hero is Kenosha. He has +2 when defending, and their special ability is called No Prisoners. If they win a battle, they can decide to wipe out all of the enemy's defeated troops. It's freaking brutal, man. There are 4 types of military units in this game, and they're called different things, whether you're Native American or whether you're English, but essentially it comes down to the exact same thing. One of these little pawns is an English militia or a native scout, worth 1 combat point, which also correlates to their hit points. So he has a hit point of 1. These cost 3 gold to recruit. You have English musketeers or native warriors. They are worth 2 combat points, have hit points at 2, and cost 6 gold to recruit. And then you have the big boys, a native marksman or English ranger. Very big, very fat, very distinctive. These are worth 3 combat and hit points, and they cost 9 gold to recruit. Then you have your heroes, such as this guy, Samuel Mosley. He is worth 4 initially, but he gains a combat bonus when he's fighting Native Americans. And as I mentioned, each of the heroes have their specific little bonus, but they're all worth 4 just as a base value. So a typical turn in this game would proceed thusly. First, establish player order for that turn, though not on turn 1. On turn 1, player turn order is automatically Wampanoag, Plymouth, Nipmuc, Connecticut, Narragansett, and Massachusetts last. For the rest of the game, the richest faction goes first. Second richest goes second, etc., etc., etc. The next thing you want to do is collect your taxes. The way you collect taxes is that you count the number of settlements that you currently control. So let's say that I am Massachusetts here. Right now I control 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 settlements. However, I also control a capital, which is worth 2 gold pieces. So the total number of taxes that I would collect on this turn would be 8. And just gather up your doubloons here. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1 for the stable boy. Next, if you are on turn 3, 6, 9, or 12, every third turn, you draw and resolve an incident card. One of these bad boys. These basically represents random events within the world of the game, within the historical context. And almost all of them are based on historical happenings, and these could either hurt or help your war effort, and they affect different players in different ways. Next, move your armies, following the established turn order for that turn. Does that make sense? So you have like turns, and then you have kind of these mini turns within turns where everybody moves their troops. You can move up to 2 armies during the troop movement phase, and it has to be to an adjacent settlement. Unless, of course, you're using the Wampanoag or Connecticut special abilities. And an army basically is defined as a cluster of troops within a settlement. So if I were to have, let's see, if I were Plymouth and I had all these guys at Bridgewater, they would be 1 army. And I could move them to Taunton if I so wished. Once an army is moved, you want to place an at-rest token next to it, which is just a handy little visual reminder that, yes, that army has moved, and it can no longer move, it can't even support another army in a nearby battle for the rest of that turn. After troop movement is complete, then you move on to recruitment. At this point, you can recruit as many pieces, as many sort of units as you like, as long as you can afford them with your tax money. In the games we've played, people have recruited their troops simultaneously, so a good tip might be to just kind of wait and see what everybody else is doing before making your final decisions. I never said this game was fair. I mean, you can cheat. Next, you just clean up your at-rest tokens. There should be a number of them at the game on the board at this point. You move the turn counter token to dong to the next little slot there, and you do the whole thing over again. Now, I mentioned that there are 6 playable factions, but you may have noticed that I didn't talk about Rhode Island. They've just been kind of chilling right here. Well, they're not a playable faction. They are a non-player character, though they can still interact with the, human players in ways that could potentially turn the tide of the conflict. You can attack Rhode Island. Feel free to attack Rhode Island. Anybody can do it, and you can conquer and absorb their territory. They will generally remain neutral because historically Rhode Island was neutral, though they did get attacked. But there is an incident card, the Rhode Island Joins the Fight incident card, which will mean that Rhode Island's gonna strike out and attack its neighbors. So, gotta sort of be on the lookout for that one. When engaged in combat with Rhode Island, they have their own Memento Mori cards, which are basically battle cards. Depending on the number of troops that Rhode Island is fielding in a particular battle, you just shuffle them and just draw it at random and resolve your conflict that way. Money is a really, really important aspect of Flintlock and Tomahawk. Each player starts the game with 5 gold pieces, 5 doubloons. Don't give them all to the stable boy because you'll need to, recruit your units at some point. There is another way to get gold, however, a slightly more violent way than just collecting taxes, although taxes are, of course, inherently violent. No, the violent method of making money that I'm talking about here is raiding, which is a good way to make an easy 5 gold. We'll talk about that later. Informal bribery between players, as if I will give you all my money if you attack, Uncle Joe. That's not only allowed, it is very, very much encouraged. English factions can only recruit at settlements with a little fort icon, namely forts and capitals. Native American factions can only recruit at strongholds or their own capitals. Now, during recruitment, also feel free to consolidate smaller pieces into larger ones or break up larger ones if you want to send them in as smaller units in different directions. That's totally fine and very much allowed. So there are 2 types of offensive attack in this game. There's raids and there's conquests. Conquests basically just means you take your troops, you attack another settlement owned by somebody else, and you take control of it. If it is a settlement that's just held with an administration token and you come in, then you win without a fight. But if you're attacking a settlement with an enemy army in it, then combat immediately results. You're fighting a battle. But let's say that you just want to hurt your enemy and make some easy money. Well, in that case, you should raid them. The way that raids work is that if you are adjacent to an enemy settlement that has an administration token in it, you can simply raid that token, which means that they have to take it off the board. And you get easy money, 5 gold pieces. Basically, what that represents is that you've made a raid on the civilian population and you stole all their stuff. However, here's just kind of the kicker. You cannot keep that settlement. You have to retreat your armies from whence they came. Winter is an active mechanic in this game. Turns 5, 6, and 7 are the winter months of early 1676. There are a couple of bad things that happen during winter. It's generally harder to fight battles and to campaign. Each faction suffers a combat penalty of -1 while attacking, except for the Nipmuc, who suffer a combat penalty of -2 when they are attacking. The Narragansett suffer a defense combat penalty of -2 because the swamps of southern New England are all sort of frozen over that time of year. And historically, the Narragansett did get pretty much crushed during the winter, so I wanted to reflect that. And also, Connecticut cannot use its special ability. Armies can cross certain short expanses of ocean for free, indicated by the bright green, handy-dandy little arrows that are on the board in certain places. However, if you want to cross a large body of water, well, then you'll have to follow established sea routes, and it'll cost you. Hiring transport ships costs 4 gold for every voyage, and you can only travel along these pre-established sea routes that are outlined in this lovely blue dotted line. Combat. This is without a doubt the most confusing aspect of the game, but I promise it all works, and there are good reasons for all the moving parts. Basically, I wanted to, as much as possible, represent how battles in King Philip's War were fought. The extremely high casualty rates, the tendency for there to be Pyrrhic victories, it's all in there. When engaging in combat, the attacker or defender may call on reinforcements from settlements that are connected to, that are adjoining the battlefield. So, if I had these guys here, and Nipmuc army in, that's not the best example, or here in Manchange wanted to attack my guys, then I could call on these two to come and help. However, if they were, here, then they would not be able to help. Resolving combat is mathematical. You tally up the combat strength of the combating armies, including their supporting troops. Then you take into account sort of variable circumstances. Heroes have their little bonuses that are sometimes applicable. During winter, there are certain combat penalties for certain factions. There are attack defense bonuses or penalties that you have to take into account sometimes. But basically, you add it all up, and the combatant with the higher combat point number wins. At the onset of battle, each player directly involved, there's like the two main combatants. You can, as a third player, support another player in a battle if you so wish. I mean, this is very conducive toward allied gameplay as well. But the two main combatants select a Memento Mori card. And these have values of 1 through 5. Yeah, and these basically add to your total combat points. They essentially represent how well your troops fight. So once you choose and reveal your Memento Mori card, then each player draws an attack and defense card. These represents unforeseen ground-level circumstances that you, as the commander of your faction, can't necessarily control. So you flip it, and it usually results in an increase or a decrease of combat points. The final calculation of all of this determines the winner. If combat points are tied, then the defender wins. The casualties inflicted by the winner are also determined by those calculations. So if you win by 3 combat points, then you inflict 3 casualties on the loser. The casualties inflicted by the loser on the winner are determined by the value of their played Memento Mori card. So if I lose a battle, but I played my Memento Mori card worth 5, then I inflict 5 casualties on the winner. It's risky to fight battles. They're chaotic, they're messy, you can't necessarily control every aspect of it. And I wanted to reflect that in a way that wouldn't involve dice. But this doesn't necessarily mean that small armies can just wipe the floor with larger ones because they play one of the big Memento Mori cards. If you're fighting with one of these guys, with a pawn, a English militia or native scout, then you only have 1 combat point to work with. And in that case, you can only play the first 2 Memento Mori cards. You cannot play one higher than 2. If you have an army worth 2 combat points, then you can't play a Memento Mori card with a value higher than 4. However, if you have an army worth 3 or more, then you can play all 5. And that, by the way, goes for the value of your armies, not winter penalties, not fort defense bonuses, nothing. When you're determining which Memento Mori card you can play, it is just the value of your armies. If you have less than 3, then you can't play all of your cards. So anyway, who are you?
I've been here the whole time.
That's kind of creepy, but I'm glad you're here. This is my buddy Christian. We're gonna go through some mock battles for you, just so you understand how the hell to play them. Christian is going to play as the Wampanoag in this little scenario, and I'm gonna play as Plymouth. Christian, what exactly are you planning on doing here?
These 2 guys.
Oh my god. Dun 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 dun
You're
dun,
fucked.
dun 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 dun. Alright, he's attacking me. But the good news, I mean, he's got me outnumbered. Right now it's 3-1. But the good news is that Dartmouth right here is a fort. So that means that I get +2 in defense. So actually right now it is 3v3. So the next step is that we draw one of our Memento Mori cards.
To clarify, do we mean draw or choose?
Yes, chew. We play our Memento Mori cards. Yeah.
Choose your 3. Of my own volition, I choose my 3.
So the thing is, with my situation, with my Memento Mori cards, I can only play my 2. Because I only have an army that's worth 1, and this is the largest Memento Mori card that he can play. So I am forced to play my 2. That means that Christian is now at 6, and I am at 5. But there is one more aspect to the combat that we have to do, which is to draw our attack and defense cards right here. So I've got my defense card. You want to draw that one on the top, Christian?
Your forces are positioned well for the fight. Gain a combat bonus of +1, which pushes me to 7?
Yes, that's right. However, I have some bad news. I have Scorched Earth, which means my forces destroyed everything that may be of use to the invader. Gain a combat bonus of +3. So, I win. However, there's bloodshed on both sides. I won by just 1, by the skin of my teeth. So that means that, Christian, one of your men has to die.
So the difference between your score and my score is how many of my men die.
Yeah, yeah.
So the greater of the two wins the battle, and then the difference is how many lose on the losing side.
Yes, exactly. Okay. This guy's worth 2, so you could take him and you could replace him with one of those guys from your little bag.
And that would allow me to still collect taxes, tariffs?
Yes, taxes. Yeah. You're getting confused with
the war was about tariffs.
As far as the casualties on the winning side is concerned, it is the value of the loser's Memento Mori card. So, Christian, remind us what Memento Mori card you played there?
I played 3.
Played 3. But I only have a soldier worth 1. So, honestly, that's kind of wasted. So that's honestly in the long run good for me because Christian played like a pretty good card, which you can't use until he cycles through all the other ones. However, that means that my little guy dies. Even though he won the battle, he still dies. Maybe they just won by the skin of their teeth and they were all horribly wounded and just their effectiveness as a fighting force was gone. So, despite their victory, they have to be taken off the board. However, I will gladly purchase one of my little tokens there to hold on to Dartmouth.
Raid the shit out of you.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that he's gonna raid the shit out of me. And there's nothing I can do because I have no troops around there. So yeah.
C'est la vie.
If only this were a real game. And
C'est la Pyrrhic victory.
Yes, very much a Pyrrhic victory. All right, so we've been playing for a number of turns now, and now it's mid-game. It's actually winter. Which means that certain sides suffer combat penalties, including yours in this upcoming battle, Christian. Yeah, the Nipmuc, for all of their martial prowess, they suffer a -2 combat penalty when they're fighting during the winter, when they're attacking during the winter.
Sounds like we're the Nit fucked.
Yes.
I'm attacking with my army here in Chelmsford.
And you're attacking my hero in Sudbury, isn't that right? You're going for the throat.
Is Sudbury the throat?
Well, it's where my general is, so,
okay.
All right.
Massachusetts has so many places.
I know. And but the good thing is that all the pronunciations make total sense.
Oh, God. Thank God for that.
Yes. Let's fucking fight, man. We got this big army against my hero, and what I'm going to do is call in support from Marlborough right here.
Do I have to move my people into Sudbury?
If you win, but for now, they can just menacingly crowd around here. Let's see. Yeah. All right, so which Memento Mori card are you going to play, Christian?
I'm going to play 3.
3, again. Attacking again with 3. Well, I'm going to play 5.
Oh!
Because I'm outnumbered in this battle, and I do not want my hero to die.
Okay, so I have 5 value in troops. I have 4 value in hero plus 3?
Yeah, plus his little bonus,
Okay, so that puts me at 12, and then I -2 because it's winter, so I'm at 10, and then I add 3 with my Memento Mori card, which is my 13. Okay.
Got it? So, I have Captain Mosley, my hero. He's worth 4, also. He has a +1 bonus when he's fighting against Native Americans. So he's worth 5 right now, and I am calling in support worth 2. So I'm at 7. So basically, I have to put my faith in the attack defense card gods that I'll get a good card, because if I don't, I am pretty much done for here. Okay, so I'm going to draw my defense card. Christian, want to go ahead? Okay, sweet. I did get a good card. I got the Rousing Speech card, which means that I get a combat bonus of +2.
Well, let me sing you a death song.
Oh! You motherfucker. You want to read that out for the people at home?
Should I
This card
sing it?
You could sing it.
Your forces fight like devils. Nullify the effect of the enemy's Memento Mori card. You're fucked.
I'm boned. Used my best Memento Mori card, and now it's trash. I got to get rid of it. So that means that I'm down 5. So the final total is 13 for Christian and 9 for me. I lost this battle pretty badly. But who dies? Who lives and who dies? Let's figure it out. The effects of my Memento Mori card were nullified. So that means that Christian will take no casualties in this battle. But because you won by 4, then I take 4 casualties. This guy is immediately dead. he's just gone. But the question that you've all been waiting for, what is going to happen to poor Captain Mosley? He never did anybody harm. Historically, he did a lot of people very he did really bad things. His hero bonus, which is +1, not only adds to his attack or his combat strength, but it also insulates him from casualties. So that basically is that +1 is absorbed.
Okay.
However,
there's still one more, right?
There's still one more, which means that Mosley
is no Mosley.
Because we've eaten into his inherent value of 4, he dies permanently. He's gone, and he's replaced by one of those guys, by an English ranger, who would then retreat to a friendly or empty adjacent settlement. He's going to go to Marlborough. Christian is victorious and has conquered Sudbury.
Do I have to move all of my troops into Sudbury, or what's kind of the strategy there?
All of the ones that you sort of committed to the main attack. If you had supporting troops in adjacent settlements, then you wouldn't have had to put those in. But sort of your main army has to move.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense. So it's what, day's ride from Sudbury to Chelmsford?
Chelmsford? I think it's more like a 40-minute drive on Route 2. No, that'd be up 93, right? Yeah, that'd be up 93. It's like 45-minute drive up 93. Yeah.
You know better than I.
Here we are. We've arrived toward the end of the game. This would be very typical around turn 10 or 11, where a little bit of a Cold War thing goes on. A big troop buildup. Two sides facing off, each trying to dominate the other with sheer force, but there comes a time when somebody blinks and just straight up goes for it and attacks and risks everything in an all-out assault.
Oh, it sounds so sexual.
It is. So I'm going to be the one who blinks. I'm playing as Connecticut. Christian's playing as the Narragansett. And I'm going to attack him with all of this.
I'm going to play my 5.
Good move.
This is the battle.
This is the battle. I'm also going to play my 5.
Oh, shoot.
So where are we at, numbers-wise? Well, you might have noticed there's a lot of troops on the board. Let's fucking count them out, man.
Should we get like a pen and a paper, make some tallies?
It's not a bad idea, actually. It's not a bad idea.
So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 big boys. That's 15. I got 1, 2, 3 medium boys. So that's 21. I got 1 small boy. So that's 22. And then I got my guy, what's his name? Kinochet, who gets 4.
Probably pronounced wrong. He gets 6.
He gets 6. So he gets 4 because he's a hero, which is 26. And then because he's defending, he gets 2 more. So I'm at 28. And then when I add in my 5 value Memento Mori card, I'm at 33 pre-defense card points.
Yeah. So I also have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the Rangers, the big boys, as we call them. All right, so that's 15, 20 with my hero, 24, 25, and 26. And then added onto there would be 5, so I have 31.
It's 31 versus 33?
Yeah, 31 versus 33. All right, so let's draw our attack defense cards and see what happens here.
The anticipation is maybe killing me?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe? We'll see what happens.
Let's see what happens here.
Oh, man!
What'd you get?
Bad news is what I got.
Oh no, how terrible for you.
Oh boy. The enemy has managed to envelop my forces. I am surrounded, and I'm going to suffer a combat penalty of -3, which will put my total count back down to 30.
I have +2.
Oh.
Fire the brush.
Oh.
My forces set the field on fire, choking the enemy with smoke.
Oh no.
So what does that put me at? That puts me at 33.
I think that's right.
Yeah, because it was 31 plus 2. So it's 30, you're 30, and I'm 33. Is that correct?
To the best of my immediate arithmetic abilities, yes.
When you are fighting with multiple armies, like in this example, so because we have people spread out over multiple settlement regions here that are all supporting each other, casualties are split up between armies. So you have 3 armies, so you basically lose a man from each one.
Okay, so I lose 1 from over here.
Mm-hmm.
I lose 1 from over here, so this is going to become
It's going to become a warrior worth 2.
a medium
One of these
boy.
little guys, a medium boy, exactly.
And then I lose 1 from here. So this
Yes,
guy
that's right.
becomes a small guy. And then all of these armies have to go back to a...
well, just this army, because that was the one, because that's what I was attacking.
Sorry, yes. So
just
and
shuffle
am I allowed to do that how I see fit? Or
Yeah,
do those have to be split equally?
However you see fit.
Okay. So now I just am like, we're just going to do this again, huh?
You pretty much, yeah. Although, here's the thing. I take more casualties than you in this example. Because I didn't win by that much, but you put down your 5. So I take 5 casualties. This is a great example of another little mechanic that we have. Basically, if you get an odd number of casualties and you are supporting from multiple settlements, then the main army takes the majority of the casualties. Because I have 5 in this example, then which is, the most casualties that a winner in a battle can take. I am going to split it up with 1 casualty here, 1 casualty here, that's 2, and then 3 from here. And that's how it's going to work. And then these guys are going to move in here. They are quite victorious. And I'm going to buy a little admin token so I can hold on to Stonington. And, well, I guess I'll buy 2 for 2 gold. And Norwich there. So looks like I've got the Narragansett pretty pinned down at this point. Even though probably another huge battle is going to follow in the next turn.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I might go on a raiding spree.
You could do that, yeah.
Goals, little steely, takey.
Although, when late in the game, it is wise to, nab as many settlements as you possibly can.
Ah, you're so right. That is the point of it.
Yes, that is the point of the game.
Gotta win.
So I hope that was helpful. I didn't explain every single possible circumstance of combat and how the rules kind of play into those, but the good news is that you can find all that in the rule book for Flintlock and Tomahawk, which is available in a Google Drive link down below, and also is available to download off of the Game Crafter page. Well, that's pretty much it. Those are the rules of Flintlock and Tomahawk, a King Philip's War board game. I hope sincerely that you have as much fun playing it as I did making it. Thanks for watching.